Good morning. Welcome into Five Clubs here on Golf Channel. Of course, you can listen. It is Channel 982 on Sirius XM's PGA Tour Radio. I am Gary Williams, and this program always brought to you by Century Insurance. If you have business insurance needs, they will meet them. They are right by you, and they invest in great things in the game of golf. Their partnership with the USGA and with the First Tee, just to begin with. Golf Pride, when it comes to options through the bag, best materials, best products, it is Golf Pride, trusted by more players at every level. Peter Millar, it is fall. It was 59 degrees in Charlotte when I got in the car this morning. That means layer up. They've got everything you need to transition to the fall season at petermillar.com. And of course, the cradle of American golf is Pinehurst. The 10 golf course is in addition to the cradle and all the different accommodation offerings that they have and the restaurants, including the new one at Pinehurst number 10. That is why it is the cradle of American golf. And we start this Wednesday morning sharing some news with you. A new event is coming to Golf Channel and USA Network featuring the two biggest stars in the men's game. The Golf Channel games featuring Rory McIlroy and Scottie Scheffler will be prime time Wednesday, December 17th, as I said, here on Golf Channel and also on USA Network, for these two guys to compete head-to-head, captaining two four-man teams in a rapid-fire golf competition hosted at Trump National Golf Club Jupiter in Jupiter, Florida. The details of this event coming up in just a moment, but joining me now in studio is somebody who is not only a member of this team, but will also be a member of the broadcast team for Golf Channel games. That is Johnson Wagner, my friend. Good morning. Good to see you.
You too, Gary. 2 days in a row. Happy to be with you.
Well, very happy to be with you. It's funny. You and I are nerds, and we'll watch anything when it comes to the game of golf. Before we give all the viewers out there the details of this competition, for you to be a part of this broadcast, you love to get down on the ground and either recreate shots, get the mindset of players and what they were trying to execute. Now you got the two best players in the world and a team that each of them are going to captain, trying to execute all these different disciplines. I know you're thrilled to be a part of this.
Anytime I could be around guys like Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy is an incredible opportunity, and I can't wait for the months to come to see who they fill out their team with. I think growing up, I was watching the Skins game the weekend of Thanksgiving. The silly season has transformed dramatically in the last few years with, you mentioned earlier, the Grant Thornton, PNC, the Hero World Challenge. Add this into the mix, and I think we're giving the golf fan at a time of year where they don't generally have a lot to watch. We're giving them the best players in the world, and this is going to be out of their comfort zone, something like we've never seen before at the highest level of professional golf.
I think you're absolutely right, and you mentioned those events. We are seeing an appetite, an audience for things other than tournament propers, which is the lifeblood of elite professional golf, men and women. But there's an audience for this, and if you can give them events that differentiate themselves from the competition, and this one will do just that. So with that, let's share with everybody what the details are on Golf Channel games. Again, Rory and Scottie leading two four-man teams in this following timed and strategy-focused challenges. Let's start with the drive, chip, and putt. A timed drive, chip, and putt. So the players will compete solo in the three precision-based disciplines, driving a total number of yards, then chipping within a certain proximity to the pin, and holding a certain number of feet of putts. We think about the drive, chip, and putt the Sunday before Masters Week at Augusta National. Now we're seeing the best players in the world doing the same thing, but they're doing it a little bit differently in terms of the urgency of time, and then also when it comes to the driving, it is aggregating a total number of drives to a certain distance. Whatever that distance is determined, could be 5, could be 6, could be 7. Let me get your thoughts on these players doing a timed drive, chip, and putt.
Well, I think this is brilliant, sort of playing off of the success that the drive, chip, and putt has had. I've watched my son compete in it for years, and the intensity and the pressure certainly ramps up. But when you add the timed element to this, I mean, I want to see the guys running personally, but
I support that.
I love the idea that we're sort of bringing the game together, and the kids that have competed, over the thousands of kids that have competed the last 10 plus years in the drive, chip, and putt, to see the best players in the world do something similar, I think it's going to be a really cool way to bring it together.
It's a great connector, like you said, for these kids who do it that first week in April. Now we're going to be doing it the week before Christmas with Scottie and Scheffler leading these teams. All right, let's go back to take a look at the details of that second discipline, the 14 Club Challenge. 2 players, 1 bag, and you're going, okay, what is this? Well, 1 player from each team will square off in this 14 Club Challenge, drawing a club from a single bag, including a driver and a putter, in a closest to the pin competition from a designated distance in the fairway. All 14 clubs, 7 shots per player, and once a club is used, it's out. All 8 players will participate 4 total matchups. How about this?
This may be my favorite one because I think the strategic element's going to be really brought into play. So if the number's 155 yards and I get to pick first, I'm grabbing that 9-iron right out of the bag, and I'm going to leave my opponent with a club that they maybe have to take a little distance off. So I think we're going to see some interesting shots with the driver, with a putter. I would think if it's the same distance every time, I think those will be the last clubs we see.
You would think.
Have you ever tried to hit a driver 155 yards?
No, I have not. I have, not deliberately.
Fair point. I've hit it 155 yards offline, but I think it's going to be really fun. I think we're going to get to see players sort of laughing at one another as they try to hit sort of ridiculous shots from a distance they would never try to hit a 3-iron or a lob wedge even. I think this one may be my favorite.
It'll be funny to watch these guys try to orphan the putter or the driver to their opponent as these clubs dwindle away from a yardage that is comfortable for a lot of, and look, these guys they're wizards at executing shots. That one will be particularly fun, and again, you're going to have all the players participating as they go through this with individual matchups, 4 total matchups. All right, let's go back to the full screen. The third discipline is the time shootout. A 4-player alternate shot. It'll be 3 holes. The teammates will be staged on the tee and the fairway around the green. And so the finish with the best score in the shortest amount of time. Again, back to the efficiency required. This is going to be timed. This is not going to be methodical, like, all right, I'm going to get out there and then we'll figure it out and we'll kind of meander our way down to the fairway and gauge our yardage. This is, okay, we got to do this as best we can, as expediently as we can. So let's say Scottie and Rory hypothetically are on the tee, and then you have 2 players staged in the fairway. Give me your thoughts on this.
Well, it's going to be paramount to hit the fairway or at least hit it close to where your second player is, because I've seen this sort of format done on YouTube channels where the ball's in the air and this player starts running to try to get as close as they can to where that tee shot's going to land. So if you spray one way away from the second man, or if you hit a poor second shot in there, the putting's pretty fun too, because the 4th man's going to have to be up there to tap in the 4th shot. And then you mentioned it earlier, but what about if the guy misses a short par putt, the guy who hit the tee shot is now
better be there.
Better be there, which, depending on how long the hole is and if they have a fast cart or if they're running from the tee, I doubt they'll be running from the tee. But I do think this is a format we're going to see a fast pace, and everybody's going to be very into getting that ball in the hole as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go now to the final discipline. Again, Golf Channel games, December 17th, primetime, Golf Channel and USA Network. Captain's Challenge, we get it. Rory and Scottie, each player hits from predetermined location. Shots will include a 100-yard wedge, 50-yard pitch, bunker shot, greenside shot, 50-foot putt, and a 10-foot putt. The lowest total distance from the hole for the combined shots will win. So we get this, the mano-a-mano with McIlroy and Scheffler.
With hopefully the Golf Channel games on the line, it's going to come down to these 2. And the first place my mind goes is the 2003 President's Cup, when it was tied at the end of play on Sunday singles, and you had Tiger Woods, Ernie Els, mano-a-mano, just holding putts and fist pumps, and the teams there on the sidelines just riveted. I was captivated by that Sunday of golf. And I think anytime you can get the best 2 players in the world competing head to head, no matter what the format is, is, that final round is going to be exciting, intense, and hopefully come down to those last couple putts.
Yeah, and with the team component, you've got your teammates there. So the optics of that, with them milling around, coming down to these two guys who are going to be captaining these two sides. So when it comes to Rory and Scottie, in terms of their thoughts about this, that they shared these thoughts about the creation of the Golf Channel Games. Again, December 17th, primetime, Golf Channel and USA Network. Here's Rory's thoughts. The Golf Channel Games will bring a fresh approach to golf, inspired by events like the NFL Combine and All-Star Games from top professional leagues. They give players the chance to showcase their skills across unique challenges and offer fans a new way to enjoy the game in the postseason. I am looking forward to competing in this new, fun format. And directly to Scottie, and here is what Scottie Scheffler added about the Golf Channel Games will be a great mix of skill, strategy, and pressure. This will be a brand new way for the players and the fans to experience the game of golf. Everyone knows how competitive we are, and I think the Golf Channel Games will be an innovative competition that will engage the viewers. I'm excited to be a part of this. I think the time component is a great wrinkle. There's this sense of urgency, which we don't associate with the game of golf. And then you have them pitted against each other, captaining these teams. And here's the other part of it. We've seen very clearly that not only are these two guys coming off two of the most important years we've seen recently, Rory completing the career Grand Slam, Scottie winning two more majors, getting to a place where people think he might be ascending to historic levels when it comes to overall achievement at the height. And they're going to end the year pulling the curtain essentially on golf together in prime time on Golf Channel and USA Network. This is very good for golf.
It's very good for golf, and Scottie said it in his statement. He is incredibly competitive, no matter what it is. If he's playing ping pong or
pickup basketball,
whatever it is, he has this intensity that he brings, obviously, to major championships and events alike. But to see him out of his comfort zone, doing something different in the game of golf, I'm really fired up to maybe hear some smack talk, to hear him jawing and laughing and having fun. But when it comes down to hitting the shots, they're going to be grinding and focused. And this is they both said it great. It's a fresh look. Nothing like this has been done at the top level of professional golf. So I'm personally beyond excited about it, and I think the lead up to it's going to be great as those teams get selected.
You know, if you look historically at men's professional golf, the best players have always found ways to compete either with each other or around each other, whether it's barnstorming, whether it is events that they're doing outside of tournaments. You know, Jack and Arnold played golf together. They played a lot of golf together. And Freddie Couples and Davis Love in the World Cups and their success in that. And you can go all the way back to Hogan and Jimmy DeMeritt and barnstorming and the Gold Dust Twins. To get Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, who knows, we may get them in the Sunday singles at the Ryder Cup, but they have an affinity for each other. They have an appreciation for what each other is doing. I think that Rory and Scottie, they're inspired by each other. To get them together on a stage, which they had last year in a different type of format, with a team supporting them, is a very interesting, and I think could be a wrinkle that we could see on an annual basis that people can look forward to.
I mean, and leave us wanting more at the end of this one.
Yes.
We have to wait a whole nother year to see this, but you said it well. I mean, the mutual respect they have for each other. I go back to the AT&T Pebble Beach earlier in the year when Rory was asked in his press conference, he said, I'm just trying to be more like Scottie, play more mistake-free. So you know they look at what each other do, and the opportunity to go head-to-head in whatever it is, they relish that moment.
And let me just say this, as far as, you know, Golf Channel and Versant and what they are doing as they embark on identifying things that they're going to create, programming on their own. And I know that Tom Knapp, the Executive Vice President for Golf and General Manager of Golf Channel, said, with that in mind, we wanted to create a new golf event that was highly competitive, showcasing the best players in the world, hitting specific shots and plotting strategy with a running clock. Strategy, the expediency of time, and the best players together has a chance to be really, really good. And let me add one last thing. Programming is an interesting thing, and I don't profess to know much about it, but I know when programming works is when you find the needle that you can thread really, really well. And think about this, Wednesday, a week before Christmas, when you are decompressing from a weekend of NFL football and playoff NCAA football, and on a Wednesday night, we're giving you golf under the lights with Rory and Scottie. That's threading the needle.
Yes, it is. It's going to be an incredible time. And you said it, Wednesday night, you're not going up against anything. It's going to be must-watch TV for any golf fan. And I think this is the sort of thing that can bring fans from outside of the sport into golf and be like, oh my gosh, I can see going out and doing this with a group of my friends sometime. Maybe not under the lights. That's a little hard to pull off. But you can go. I mean, these are sort of events that I think you're going to see people go out and try to reenact and recreate on their own.
And I would like, if they do have these guys have to run between one discipline or the other, he needs to recreate the running between the drive and the chip.
My knee doctor told me I couldn't run anymore.
Okay. All right. He's going to stay with me because we're going to talk a little Walker Cup. Again, Golf Channel games, Wednesday, December 17th, primetime Golf Channel and USA Network. Rory McIlroy, Scottie Scheffler. The teams are going to be announced in the coming weeks. So keep it right here for the details on who is going to be joining those two guys for Golf Channel games. And oh, by the way, bottom of the hour of this program on a Wednesday, Ludvig Åberg as well. And we got Dogs of the Week. Great way to start the Wednesday announcing that great new event coming right here to this network and USA Network. He stays with me. We talk a little Walker Cup here. It is 5 Clubs Golf Channel and SiriusXM's Channel 92 on PGA Tour Radio. Back right after this. Back in on this Wednesday here on 5 Clubs Golf Channel and also Channel 92 on SiriusXM's PGA Tour Radio. This segment brought to you by Pinehurst, the cradle of American golf, with the 10 golf courses, 11 under construction soon enough. The cradle, plus all of the different places you can stay and all of the wonderful restaurant options, including new Station 21 out there at Pinehurst number 10. There are great reasons always to be booking a trip to the cradle of American golf. We have a special event, one of the most special events in golf that is going to be contested this week. I'm wearing the logo right now, the Walker Cup, and it is going to be contested at Cypress Point. Johnson Wagner's alongside with me. He was with me at the top of the program to announce Golf Channel games. We'll give you a little bit more detail before the end of the show. This new event coming on December 17th in primetime, Golf Channel and USA Network. Your window of opportunity for the Walker Cup was right around turn of the century, like 99, 2001. Was that your opportunity?
Turned pro in 02.
Okay.
My best summer was the summer of 02, and I turned pro at the very end, and there was no Walker Cup that year, so I was never under any consideration for the Walker Cup, unfortunately.
The Rhoda, people look at it and go, my God, where have they not played? Well, it started in 1922 at National Golf Links. They actually went back there, and they had a decorated team in 2013. Cypress Point is one of the most special places that golf has played, and I was out there back in the month of July and have been lucky to, and these are just a handful of photos that I took that day, which was allowable because it was a preview day that the USGA was putting together for media members. That is playing up into the forest. That's the 4th hole there. That is the 3rd green. That's a par 3. As you play alongside that Grand Dune, the incredible clubhouse there that is looking out over the Pacific Ocean. Johnson, there are few places like this in the world. There probably really is no place exactly like this.
I can't think of any place like it, at least not on this continent. And Cypress Point gives you so many different sort of golf courses in one. Like you mentioned, you play 1, 2, 3, and then you start heading up into the forest through the 8th hole or through the 6th hole, and then 7, maybe the greatest par 3 on planet Earth, and then Big Dune on 8, 9, 10, 11, and then boom, the great reveal of the Monterey Bay and the Pacific Ocean in the distance. And I think everybody talks about 15, 16, 17, but that's 7 right there. That par 3 is befuddling. 15, 16, 17 get all the love, but this golf course from the first tee box through the 18th green, there's no place like it. And I used to not like 18 because it's a bit of a quirky tee shot and uphill second shot, but once I had a caddy tell me how to play it, it's turned into one of my favorite two-shot par fours, because you have to be precise with two shots. If you try to get too greedy, which I'm sure we will see in the Walker Cup, guys trying to send driver up there, you could make any sort of score on that hole.
Yeah, with team matches, a couple things that I love. One, these young men having the opportunity to share this together. The other thing is that the club and the United States Golf Association didn't look to create elasticity and all of a sudden we need more yardage. These kids are touching 190 ball speed. No, this is our golf course. Play it as it is presented to you at 6,600 and change, and it's a match play, and if you make a bushel full of birdies, good for you. That's likely going to happen. You have teams, like you said, taking chances. And the other thing you said about the golf course itself, it's either playing toward a dune, away from a dune, up into the forest in 4 and 5. And then obviously the great reveal when you cross 17-mile drive to that 15th tee. It's amazing. But you also look at the history of not only where it's been held starting in 22 at National Golf Links. Let's go through just a collage of photos. And the youthfulness, that is 1959, Johnson. That's at Muirfield in Scotland. No wonder he fell in love with it. There's Monty. Look at that.
Young Monty. I mean, he still has the same hair that he's got now. Padraig Harrington, I mean, probably hits the ball further now than he did then.
Look at that head of lettuce on Duval, 1991.
Georgia Tech frat boy right there.
Phil, same team. Those guys were next to each other. Talk about talent. Mickelson and Duval. There is Tiger, 1995. That was at Royal Porthcawl. GB and I rolled them. That, Justin Rose, he was the youngest at 17 to play in the competition.
I mean, did Akshay Bhatia break that record eventually?
Maybe he did. Maybe he did. There's Rory. That's Royal County down. Look at Ricky.
Rory
he looks like a paper boy.
I mean, I love both. I wish they'd both bring back that hair.
And that young man, he is your FedEx Cup champion. Tommy Fleetwood. There's Jordan Spieth 2011. Jordan was a teenager as well. That's 2015. That, of course, Bryson DeChambeau, who went 2-0-1 at Royal Lytham in the United States, got routed by GB&I, and that's LACC with Scheffler.
The list of the courses, and I remember, I think it was the 06 was played at Chicago Golf Club with Anthony Kim, and you look at the old pictures of these teams, both on the GB&I and the U.S. side, and anybody that's ever reached top 10 in the world from either of those areas has pretty much been a Walker Cupper at least once in their life. And I love looking back at old Walker Cup photos because they've all played them.
They have. Colin Montgomery was on that GB&I team in 1985 when it was at Pine Valley. Davis Love III, Scott Verplank were on the U.S. team. And just for people to get a sense of where it's going from Cypress Point, it's like, what are you going to do after that? Well, they're going to go to Hinch next. They'll come back. Bandon gets their first opportunity. Bandon and the USGA now have a kinship. They are having a lot of championships there. Prince's Golf Club in Sandwich, England. And then the next three United States sites in the 2030s, Oakmont, Chicago Golf for the repeat, Pine Valley after that. Come on, man.
Can I get my amateur status back?
It's and then the other part, Johnson, and this gets back to kind of programming in Golf Channel. Golf Channel has done a very, very admirable job of putting more college golf on the network. So we're more familiar with these players, the Luke Clantons, the Jackson Coivins. It's not just the NCAAs, it's East Lake Cup. It's the Western Intercollegiate. It's, even women's, the Darius Rucker. We're seeing these kids more on television. Jackson Coivin's got a tour card in his back pocket. He's at Cypress Point this week.
And I also like the mixture, too, with the Stuart Hagestad on the team. As an accomplished mid-amateur player. And we've got the young man who just won the U.S. Amateur who's starting his senior year of high school. You got such a great mix of players. Nathan Smith, the three-time mid-am champ, is the captain. It's a wonderful communion of different generations coming together. I just wish it was more than 2 days. I wish they'd started a little bit earlier. But the coverage of Cypress Point, I think this is going to be the first time that a lot of people get to see this golf course with their own eyes. Granted, it's on TV, but I've had people reach out to me that have won tickets for the lottery and are going all the way from the East Coast, flying out there just to be able to go walk the grounds for one day during the Walker Cup.
I think it's the best viewing experience in golf. I really believe it. It's so intimate, so boutique-y, like you said. Thank you for being here for the announcement of Golf Channel games again, December 17th, prime time on a Wednesday. Rory and Scottie captaining 2 4-man teams. So thank you. We cut you away when we continue here. Ludvig Åberg, speaking of young and really, really good, second Ryder Cup team for him representing Europe. He joins me next here on 5 Clubs. Bottom of the hour, it is a Wednesday edition of 5 Clubs here on Golf Channel. You can also listen, that's PGA Tour Radio, Sirius XM, that is channel 92. And this segment is brought to you by Golf Pride. When it comes to having choices, Golf Pride gives you more choices, and it's the best materials. And I'm talking through the bag, including that reverse taper putter grip system as well. We are very proud to be aligned with Golf Pride. All right, joining me now, he will represent Europe for the second time already in his very young career. He's the 14th ranked player in the world. He won the Genesis. He has contended in multiple Masters already. Very kind to join us from his home in Florida. And I'm speaking, of course, of Ludvig Åberg. Good morning. How you feeling?
Good morning. I'm feeling great. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for doing this. You know, a couple years into this, and last year, when you were playing in all your first majors, you heard this, like, what's this like for the first time? And what's this like for the first time? And now here we sit on the back end of your second full year as a professional. Just curious, what do you enjoy most about this being a job?
Well, first off, I wouldn't call it a job. I'm not sure what I would call it. It definitely doesn't feel like a job, but yeah, I've been, this year it's been quite interesting for me because obviously my first year, you're doing it all for the first time. You're experiencing all these tournaments that you've watched growing up for the first time. And now I get to go back, which is quite a privilege, and it makes it a little bit easier. You sort of, you know where to park, you know where to eat, you know where you're going to stay, and those things matter, and it makes things easier. It makes it travel a little bit smoother, and all of a sudden I can, show up at an event on a Tuesday instead of being there, first thing Monday morning and trying to figure out the golf course. So all those things, played a big role this year, and I thought I had some great experiences on that.
You, I saw an interview you did. You were talking about, your home country of Sweden, and how generally, if people get on a bus, they're not inclined to engage each other. Like Swedes they're reserved. They're private people. Yeah. And here I see you, and you're doing something that is public, which also requires the obligation of speaking. Was that something that you became more comfortable with, or do you feel like you've had more of an ease in engagement, in speaking, whereas where you're a product of culturally, that's not the way it is? Yeah, I do remember that interview. We were talking all about sort of the cultural differences between America and Sweden, and there are a few for sure. I got to experience all of them when I started college, when I moved to Texas, and that to me was quite a bit of a culture shock, which I've always enjoyed traveling. I've always enjoyed seeing, different sides of that whole spectrum, I guess. And yeah, was it a challenge at first? For sure. I came over and I didn't really speak the language as well as I do now. And there were for sure certain situations and certain conversations that I feel like, hey, I can't even be a part of this because I don't know how to say it. I just don't have the words in my vocabulary. So I've definitely improved a lot on that, and it comes with experience. It comes with being like a little sponge and listening to other people and how they say things and how they how I listen to them. And but yeah, it definitely, to me, doesn't really come natural. It's something that I'm always going to have to work on. But luckily, I'm very fortunate to be in the position I am in terms of the golf course and in terms of where I am in the golfing space. And that gives me a lot of opportunities to, I guess, practice those things. You know, Ludvig, for people who don't know, in Sweden, there are 2 high schools that have great concentration in golf, and you went to one of them. And I think Maya Stark, Lynn Grant, Tim Beating, these guys, these were your peer groups. You were around, so you were around elite talent. And I would just wonder, before you narrowed your focus, were you better at something else before you were best at golf?
Yeah, I think I was like any other young kid growing up in whether it was Sweden or anywhere else. But I played a bunch of different sports. My main sport was football or soccer when I grew up, and I wanted to be a football player before I wanted to be a golf player. And I think I quickly realized that, first off, I wasn't good enough in football. I actually didn't enjoy the team aspect of it at the time. I quite enjoyed having it in my own hands. I didn't want to rely on anyone else when it came to results and scores and football matches and whatever. But then I started high school, and that's where I met my swing coach that I still have today. And we had a great group of people, and the history has been great. A lot of Swedish Tour players have come through that school, whether it's the one that I went to or the one just a little bit further north. And yeah, Lynn and Maya, we were the same year, we were the same class.
Wow.
So we went to school, we had classes every day for 4 years together. So I think looking back now, I didn't realize it at the time, obviously, but I just thought we were, nice people who were good at golf. But now I look back and thinking it's pretty cool that kind of see where we've gone and how far we've come from high school.
One of my favorite stories, I don't know if you know this, Roger Federer was good at a lot of things when he was a boy. And he was so good at tennis that his instructors went to his parents and said, we want Roger to move up and play with the older kids. And his parents' response to the instructors was, we'll ask Roger what he wants. And Roger said no, because it means that I won't be able to play soccer after practice with my buddies because my practice schedule will be different. So the lesson is 2 things. One, his parents made it his choice. It wasn't theirs. And also that he wanted to have range and do other things and be an athlete, and eventually he narrowed his focus. I don't know if you're familiar with that story, but I'm just curious what you think about that.
Yeah, I've actually never heard that one. But I mean, I know for a fact that when Hans, who's in charge of the high school, when he looks at younger players, so that for admissions into that high school, they look at, hey, have they played other sports? Have they, been a part of a team? Have they, because there is so much to learn from being on a team. And, how do you deal with losses in a locker room afterwards? How do you deal with team chemistry and, being a winner, being a loser, and some of those things that you never get to experience on the golf course. And then not to speak of the hand-eye coordination that you get from playing tennis or playing football or playing volleyball or, any sport that isn't necessarily club ball and on a golf course.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely think if you look at a lot of the good tour players these days, they are good athletes, and they have a different sport that they really like to do to work on, and I think that could definitely resonate with just a general athlete.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer. John McEnroe, I think he went to the U.S. Open within the last week or so. He's always been somebody who had his own academy. He wants you to be an athlete first. And eventually, if you're going to be a tennis player, you'll be a tennis player. But your intuition and your dexterity is going to be rooted in just generally being an athlete. Let me ask you about attention. You're not an attention seeker. And Scottie Scheffler's not an attention seeker either, but his performance gets him a lot of attention, and so does yours. What stands out about Scheffler for you?
Yeah, I think a lot of things. For me, obviously his golf, speaks for itself. It is, we've all seen it. We've all, watched him win multiple tournaments over and over again. And it seems like he's doing it with such ease now. I feel like he's really figured out how to, put the extra gear in when he needs to. And, but all those things, are obviously really impressive. But I think I mean, I haven't known him for that long, about 2 years, maybe, not even. And his rise have been, quite substantial in the last couple of years, but he's always been the same as a person, ever since. And I think that's more impressive because he's got a lot of reasons to sort of not float away, but
Sure.
change in the way that he views things, which from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem that way. It seems like he's very grounded. He cares about the things that he cares about and nothing else. And he really values those things. And I think that's more impressive than winning 14 events in 2 years or whatever it is. I think staying true to that is a big challenge. And it seems like he's doing a really good job of that.
Ludvig, when people watched the captain selection show the other day, all you guys are up on these Zooms, and all of you had this such joyful look on your faces, but in particular, the guy that you partnered with, Viktor Hovland, he always has this mischievous grin on his face. Now, I don't know many Norwegians. I never thought Norwegians were inclined to be the way that he is. Why does your partnership, above and beyond the data and the metrics, why do you guys seem to vibe well?
Yeah, he's a funny guy, Victor. He's a funny guy. I saw this interview he did on Golf Channel, and they asked what language he speak, and he said Mandarin, which is like, I think that that represents him pretty well. He's very, takes himself very lightly, even though he is somewhat of a perfectionist in his craft. Sorry, but he can definitely, make fun of himself, which I think is a great quality. And then, we come from a very similar culture. We grew up in a very similar area in the world, in Scandinavia. And I think that we can speak the same language. We can understand each other. We can relate to each other. I think those things all play into it. So, yeah, last time we had a good time in Rome, and we've played multiple practice rounds since, and we've played multiple tournament rounds as well. So I think it's just a good time whenever you're around him, and I've enjoyed it so far, and hopefully we can do it a lot more.
One of the things that Luke Donald did that I thought was it was touching, that he touched you guys by talking about things that were part of why you are who you are, whether you're at a younger age like you or older like Justin Rose. What did you learn about that team in Rome that before you didn't know nearly as much about? Were there things that stood out about each guy, or just in the collective that you learned and you walked away having even greater appreciation about them? Forget as golfers, but just as men?
Oh, for sure. I think if I'm thinking back to 2 years ago in Rome, that was my sort of first interaction with a lot of those guys, because I turned pro in the summer, played all the summer events, and I didn't make the playoffs that year. So I hadn't even been around him. I didn't play the Open that summer, so I didn't get to see him. So one of the first times that I actually got to shake John's hand or Rory's hand or Till's hand, that was in that practice trip leading up to Rome. So for me, that was a really cool experience. And I remember thinking, hey, I'm this rookie who's just out of school, but they made me feel a part of the team. They made me feel very welcomed, even though they're, multiple major champions and Hall of Famers and all these things. But here they are sort of listening to me and making me feel heard, which I thought was really cool, and really made me feel like I was a part of the 12-man group who was there. And we had some really intimate moments in the locker room and personal sort of messages that was being thrown around. And it was cool. Yeah, there was definitely a side that I'd never seen before from a lot of those guys. And I think that what makes, Team Europe so special. And it makes you really appreciate it when you're on that team, for sure.
I said it the other day. I think it's one of the great teams in sports. Even though the team changes and you guys only play a competition once every 2 years, it's wildly impressive. All right, let's get Ludvig Åberg out of here. 5 quick questions to go. What are your off-season Netflix priorities? Do you have a list of shows? Do you have one show? What is your Netflix priority in the off-season?
That's a good question. I think my go-to show of all time is How I Met Your Mother. I think it's the best show ever. I think it's absolutely hilarious.
Wow.
I think it's just like encapsulated. It's just so I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but I just always go back to it. It's like a little comfort. It feels like, you're a part of that group, but I'm for sure going to rewatch that when I get some time off.
All right, your favorite room in your house?
Probably this room I am in right now. It's a pretty big sort of kitchen, open living room area where I spend about 90% of the time. Probably got a nice couch and a nice TV, and yeah, I think that.
The kitchen is always like home base. Whether you're having like an elegant party, everybody always migrates back to the kitchen. It's the most reliable room in the house. Not surprised.
Right. Yeah.
All right, give me the best player dining spot on tour.
Best player dining spot on tour. We go to a Thai restaurant in Atlanta. That's really good.
Okay. The most stylish athlete in the world, in your opinion, is?
Roger Federer.
That was the easiest answer. No, he is. He is.
It
now,
is.
I will say that the guy from your home nation, who was my guy, I played his racket as a kid. Borg is a stylish dude. Always has been.
Is.
Like he could be. He will. I hope he lives to be 100. He'll look as stylish as anybody. You agree with that, right?
I agree with you. Yeah, he's still in good shape.
He looks great.
Yeah, for sure.
Fed's always a great answer. All right, last question. You're living in North Florida. You got a lot of convenience stores / gas stations. What is your gas station / convenience store guilty pleasure? It's not pork rinds. It's not beef jerky.
No,
what is it?
It's probably a can of Zin, if anything.
Really? I would have never. That wouldn't have been in my top 10.
That would be my guilty pleasure.
Isn't it amazing to walk into those places? Like, you really, everything you would ever need in your life is likely in that gas station.
That was a good question. I never heard that question, actually. That was a thought-through question. I like that.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. That's how we end it then. Hey, listen, enjoy the little bit of time you have. I know you're excited to be a part of this team again on the road to Bethpage. Awfully kind to indulge me with the time here on this Wednesday. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
All right, there is Ludvig Åberg, again, somebody who most people absolutely agree is going to be among, for a long, long time, the best players in the world. We come back, Dogs of the Week, as we continue here. And those were winning words presented by Century. If you have business insurance needs, they will meet them. We continue on 5 Clubs right after this. It is about that time, our favorite segment of the week, Dogs of the Week. This segment brought to you by Peter Millar. This Walker Cup crew neck can be yours. Just go to petermillar.com. A great weight for the fall. Putting this on this morning felt fantastic. 59 degrees, and they will be ensconced in Peter Millar. They have outfitted both teams, GB&I and the United States, looking very, very stately. All right, speaking of stately, the animals, the dogs, our favorite species in the world. It is time for Dogs of the Week. Send in a dog if that dog has got a relationship with the game of golf in any way. We want it. It's dogs@5clubsgolf.com. And we've got so many to get to, not just today, but through the rest of the year, and we'll get to all of them. So let's take a look at the Dogs of the Week. And this one is done posthumously. Dog's name is Jeter. The owner is Will Lopez. Jeter was a golden doodle that passed away last year. Loved spending time on the cart with Will at Eagle Trace Golf Course in Coral Springs, Florida. That's Palmer and Hogan. Who said they didn't get along? They are at Champions Retreat Golf Club in Evans, Georgia. Dave Brown is their owner. That is Winnie and Watson, named after Winnie Palmer and Tom Watson. The owners are Cliff and Diane Rankin. Pictured on the practice putting green at Edgewood Country Club in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That dog is Lambo. That is submitted by Stacy Dorsett. The owner is Jerry Quinn. Name the dog is, like I said, Lambo. That's at Mosswood Meadows Golf Course in Monroe City, Missouri. And then finally, look at how beautiful those photos are. That's Stella, a 5-year-old Portuguese water dog, just back from the Scottish Highlands last week. Walked Brora, Royal Dornick, and Moray. And you know where that is. That is just over the Swilcan Bridge, walking home to the 18th green at the Old Course. We did that a couple of weeks ago. There's our balcony right there on the right at Rusak's. Thank you for sending in your dogs. And we want them all, again, dogs at 5clubsgolf.com. I mentioned the Walker Cup. Lucky enough to only cover one of them, and that was at Seminole 4 years ago. And having worked at Seminole and to go back there and to see that competition there, like I said, in the future, if you want to go to a golf competition that you're like, I'm seeing some of the best talent in the world, but I'm seeing it really up close in this intimate, boutique-y setting, make a point of trying to go to a Walker Cup. It's incredibly special. A couple other things. If you want to learn more about Cypress Point, this great book by Jeff Shackelford about it. And also, if you want to learn about the history of the Walker Cup, this book, going all the way back to the first one in 1922 at National Golf Links. This is a beautiful coffee table book. Let me just get back to what we shared with you at the beginning of the program, this announcement that we made here on 5 Clubs. The Golf Channel games featuring Rory McIlroy and Scottie Scheffler in primetime on Wednesday, December 17th on Golf Channel and USA Network. The teams that they will captain will be announced in the coming weeks, but you have the 2 biggest stars in the game under the lights at Trump National Golf Club Jupiter in Jupiter, Florida. A rapid-fire competition, 4 different disciplines, going to be great. All right, this is our Tiny Friday. We will not have a show on Monday, but Tuesday and Wednesday from Liberty National for 5 Clubs. Have a great rest of the week. We'll see you next Tuesday.